Hello, world. Welcome back. If you haven't seen episode 1 of Censorship, which is what we will be continuing today, please refer back to the earlier video. Otherwise, if you have already seen it or you literally don't care, please continue listening. You are now here with a few lads, a few of them. My name is Care Bradford. To my left, we have
Donnie. Hello, everyone.
Hola, I am Otasu Jackson.
I'm Grayson Tuck. I'm excited about what we're talking about. Hooray.
Your last name is Tuck.
Yeah.
Like you tuck in a shirt?
oh God.
Or you tuck in...
All right,
Okay,
all right,
we can
all right.
stop now.
Let's continue from our earlier discussion. I'm not entirely sure where we left off. It probably would have been best to listen to that audio. However, let's just get generally into censorship. I think we were talking more about words in the last episode. So today, let's talk more about imagery. What should and shouldn't be censored in context of visual content?
Everything.
Everything should be censored?
No. Nothing should be censored at all. Everything should not be censored. Because why should we censor them to it if it's just going to happen anyways? They're eventually going to see it, am I right, ladies?
Whoa.
Wow.
Hey, man, let's stay gender...
Sorry, are you trying to
gender-
censor my language
Yeah, I
right here?
am. This is a school podcast.
Stop catcalling, okay? I have a boyfriend. Now, we're going to continue. Visual stuff. like what? We talking, we got like violence, blood, gore.
I'm talking
nudity.
like ISIS decapitation.
Well, that's
vids.
blood, gore. I already went over that.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Let's
I
start
mean,
there.
why should
Let's
those be
start
censored?
there.
Why should that be censored?
I mean, they're gonna see all
Why
that
should it be
eventually.
shown? It has no purpose other than to.
Display anatomy for doctors?
Yeah, I mean, you could see...
There are better ways to look at the
you get to
anatomy
see
of
what a
the human.
decapitation looks like.
Why would you
Yeah.
need to see that?
So you could fear
I
it
mean,
more.
it's kind of interesting. I got to see one.
Okay, hey, look.
oh,
but what
so
about this?
interesting. Let me put this serrated knife to your neck and slowly chop
Actually,
through
it was a machete, and he was like hacking. He was like...
Oh.
That's magusting. So I don't want to see that. I'd rather have that censored, quite honestly.
Yeah, what about the young people, the little children of the world?
They're going to see it
That-
eventually.
What about him?
Yeah, but when they see that, that'd be a traumatic experience.
Yeah,
that would
that's because-
ultimately shape their lives, and it could shape their life in a way that would negatively affect other people because it might become an obsession of sorts that they would follow through with and end up being one of those famous killers that go loose
You
for
know why?
40 years
You know
and don't
why?
get arrested
You know
until
why,
they're like
Donnie?
60 and dying.
Because you make it a bad thing. The people make it a bad thing. They censor them from it, so when they see it once in their lifetime, they're super shocked because they never saw anything like it before. I mean, the first man on the moon shocked the world because no one had ever seen it before. But that doesn't mean we should censor them to it because they're afraid of a little controversy. So what?
Get wrecked.
Man up.
But it's not just controversy.
Woman up.
It is
No controversy.
a severe traumatic experience. That'd be like watching your own parents die.
Batman did it, and he's a superhero. Fight me.
Got him.
And he's also fictional and written by DC, which
So is Jane Eyre,
doesn't
and
amount
the
to
whole world looks up to
anything.
Jane Eyre.
Care
No
The
one
whole
else-
world in literature, the writers look up to Jane Eyre, and she was a hero.
Cara Bradford has something to say.
Go ahead, Kara.
These are fictional characters. You can't compare real life to fiction.
But isn't fiction based off... Isn't... But
Okay,
isn't
okay.
fiction based
You
off
want-
real life?
all right, you want
It's
real
an
life?
extreme.
You want real life? Look at the military. They see their brethren, their brothers. They die.
and what happens when they return home from the war?
People
Many of them-
outcast them. People outcast
most of them are pretty
Many
chill.
Assuming that they have PTSD because of the
them-
cases, they outcast them.
Many of them have PTSD due to the things that they have seen. What makes a little ISIS decapitation video any different? I could see an ISIS decapitation video, and I could say, hey, I'm going to go cry now because that was really scary
Yeah.
and messing me up.
But I've actually seen one, and I don't have PTSD.
Yeah, but you're just one part
People
of
are
that whole
different.
piece of pie there, pal.
People are very different. It's dependent on who you are and how you're raised and what you've experienced in many
So-
cases.
Okay, but... Okay, wait. What? This is kind of dumb. Like...
You can't call an argument dumb until you've
Okay,
backed
hold
it
up.
pal.
If you wanted to make sure that they didn't experience trauma, wouldn't you want to desensitize them to it? You would just repeatedly show them that.
Yeah.
If you wanted to make warriors, even if you didn't want to make warriors, if you just wanted to make stronger-willed people, and so they wouldn't break when they saw blood for once.
You
If you
show 'em
wanted
blood.
that, show them blood when
Exactly.
they're younger, so they can adjust to it.
Certain things need to be traumatic
Why?
Argue.
because it is the loss of a human life.
Who decides
And
it?
So
Who decides it?
Who decides what is morally right to see and what is morally wrong to see? Because I didn't decide it.
So you would have decided to just like watch whatever you want, whatever desensitizing material, whatever bloodshed, gory stuff that may occur. You just like Netflix stream, like Hulu that to your TV all
no.
day,
That's
It would-
bass boosted.
It would still be disturbing, but some people watch it because it's censored. That's the reason people use expletives, because it's censored. It makes them feel better. Well, maybe not feel better, but it makes them realize something. They have a meaning to it. They know now what they did not.
But there is no meaning to an ISIS decapitation video.
to you.
To you, yeah.
To who?
There's no meaning to you to cut yourself, but there is to some people.
Who would watch it though? For what purpose would it fulfill?
I mean, there's no reason to I guess there's no reason to purposely watch it unless there are a lot of reasons, like religiously, like maybe they enjoy it. Like I don't know, why do people watch matadors? Or just some dude killing a bull?
That's a
And
bit of a game involved. That's
It's
a
still
sport.
death. There's still a high chance. They bring children to those events.
Yeah, there's death involved. But it's not the slaughtering of a human
It could
being
be.
for no purpose.
It could be gored. It could be a
yeah,
gored
unless
human.
the bull wins.
There you go. Barbecue.
If-
Barbecue. He's dead.
Okay. However, I still do not think that it is entirely explain to me why. I know you've probably touched on this and I'm maybe just dumb, but why is it necessary
It isn't.
to show it?
It's not necessary to show it. Our point is not that you need to go watch someone get their head cut.
Well, I know.
The point is that there's no reason to block it.
There's no need to block it. I mean, if you wanted something to be traumatic, why not make car crashes traumatic?
Well,
They're
I mean,
looked over.
I
They
can-
are looked over. People die because of that. And you know what? Monster trucks. Let's go crush a bunch of cars. Let's laugh at it. Ha ha. I'll
Wait.
bring my 3-year-old. But you know what? When a car crash happens, let's avoid it. Unless it's on the news, then let's just listen and ignore it because there's a happy story about to come up.
Wait. However, I can still go find an ISIS decapitation video if I want it. It's not censored. I can go watch that whenever I
It
want.
is censored.
It's only censored in certain situations. Why would we need decapitation
No,
videos?
they are censored. That's why they're hard to find.
Yeah, sure, they're hard
You
to
have
find,
to put
but
in
I
work
can.
to go look for it.
But so what? I can still go find it. There's no need to
so,
have it.
So you're kind of saying, oh, censorship is okay because you can still try to find it.
You could still say bad words. They're not censored.
yeah,
They're
bad
not-
words are censored, but we still say them.
I'm saying in certain situations, like I can go watch that ISIS decapitation video whenever I want at my house. I
That's
can do
not
that.
necessarily true. And also that puts you in the FBI watch list.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. See, there's a stigma behind it.
That's the
Censored.
censorship.
Exactly.
Which is
Because
why
it's
we're
a
trying to
negative
avoid.
thing.
But it's necessary.
It's
So you
not
don't-
necessary. Why is it necessary?
because say you get some radical dude who wants to perform the same thing and he's watching and he's just the happiest man in the world.
Well,
'cause
then wouldn't
his-
he avoid trying to look for it because he knows that it puts us on a watch list?
we
Not
don't know if it
necessarily.
puts
The
on-
Not
NSA
if
looks at
it's
our.
something-
I mean, the NSA looks at our internet history anyway. So
Mark Zuckerberg does not look whether or not I have
he
ISIS
sold my data
decapitation
to the
videos.
public. Listen to those.
You
screening
specifically.
I'm,
dudes. He
yeah,
sold all of our data.
Yeah, all of us.
Lizard man.
I think we have a pretty strong argument over here. I'm proud. So
All right.
far, it's gonna get stronger. Just throw more at it, please.
Yeah.
there are people yelling. Okay. Anyways, I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry. Care Bradford is not here mentally today. What about Donnie?
Donald Duck.
Wow,
Hey, man.
that's low. But okay, so
Donald Duck's
Are-
the favorite of all
are you
children.
saying that by not censoring anything, you would create these emotionless humans that don't feel anything?
No.
Oh, they would feel.
Yeah, humans are just more resistant.
But if they're subjected to these traumatic experiences like beheadings and other such traumatic instances to some people, maybe not to everyone, then are you trying to decrease how much emotion they actually have?
I think that's what I was trying to argue earlier. Like some things we still need to feel emotion to, because if you get desensitized to a human decapitation video, at what point do you stop becoming desensitized? At the loss of life, I think humans should feel emotions that make them feel negative in a certain way. But if you become desensitized to those things, there's nothing stopping you from watching a slaughter massacre and just reacting like a robot with no emotions.
Tell that to the news.
Also, not to mention, this is a good example of, you know how like dudes take small doses of like, let's say like, for example, snake venom and then they develop an immunity? Similar to that.
But I'm saying we shouldn't want that immunity.
No one
Why
wants
not?
to get
No.
bit by a snake, but they still want the immunity so they
No,
don't die to
I'm
it.
saying we don't get the immunity because in our I have a perfect real life example. These days, when I see there's another shooting, I don't feel any emotion towards it. To be completely honest, they say there's another shooting, my mind goes blank and I'm like, okay, there's another one. I should not be reacting like that. I should be reacting in shock and fear. However, I've been desensitized to that, and there's less value when there's no emotion. And whenever I see a shooting or hear about one, I should be scared, I should be sad, I should be...
Why?
Because it's the loss of life for no reason.
Car crashes.
So
Yeah, I should react in sadness
But it's an
to that.
inconvenience.
But
Hey,
if-
there's traffic here because 2 people just died. But they don't say that. They just say there's a car crash, inconvenience, detour, go around it. You still want to be on time.
Because,
Yeah,
we've
I mean-
been,
that human
because
life
we've been
really didn't matter to
desensitized
you.
to it. So should we really just watch human death videos and not react by having our breath being taken away? Should we not be appalled at that? Should
No,
we
we
just
shouldn't.
watch it and sit there as robots with no emotion towards...
it's a defense mechanism. Like
That's
being
not defensive. That's just
it's your
cutting off
brain protecting
emotion.
you from being emotionally like destroyed.
It's not going to destroy me, though. Most people will. That's the same argument with you. Like, most people are not going to be mentally destroyed by that. But by sitting there and watching ISIS videos and killing videos, there's no point. You just get desensitized and there's no emotion left.
By removing emotion, you are essentially removing something that fundamentally sets humans apart from everything else. Along with their ability to reason and their emotion, it is a concrete factor that helps humans go farther than what they are.
Dogs have emotions.
Yes, but to the extent that humans are there, it's the ability to find
Sympathy? Empathy?
sympathy. Yeah, maybe. But if you remove that, if you remove any kind of emotion so that you're cold-hearted, cares about nothing but your own survival, then it's difficult to actually create
Isn't that more
meaningful-
natural than what we have now because we started off that way? We weren't always societies. We were hunter-gatherers, individual wolf pack, alpha male, beta male.
Why
That's
would
where
we
that
want
comes
to go
from.
back to that? We've evolved to the
We
point.
don't need to.
Have we?
Have we evolved or have
Have
we
we?
devolved?
How have we devolved to being emotion-filled?
any
I
s-
think there's something more valuable there.
Okay,
It shows that we respect and have empathy for people.
Oh, yeah, sure you do. You kill all those trees. You cut down trees, kill animals. That's what's been happening. There's no more environment left. You do realize these cities that we care for everyone. They were built upon the graves of other animals. And no one cared then, and no one still cares. That's why the environment's dying. And yet it's okay to censor us from those bad things because we shouldn't realize what we're doing. We shouldn't look at what ISIS is doing and saying, that's a bad thing that humanity has done. We shouldn't look at that like a plague because we should just ignore it because that's better for us. We ignore the problems and hope they go away without us looking at them and realizing what's wrong with them. People don't look at global warming, and then that's why nothing's happening. Everyone's ignoring the ads, stop global warming. They just ignore it, and now there's no solution. No one's doing anything to stop it.
I think you kind of just shot down your own argument. You said people are ignoring the ads, and yet at the same time you used an ISIS video to make the same point. Those are complete polar opposites in the way that you're arguing. Is the ISIS video censored or is it not? Because
If they censored it, then the public or the government or whoever, someone is stopping people from realizing that there's a problem because they want to live in this utopia where they don't realize what the problems
but
are.
at
It
the
is
same
being
but at the
censored.
same time you just said people are ignoring the ads which
For
means they're-
global warming.
Exactly.
it's the same thing.
No,
Okay, well,
no,
that's
it's
different.
not. See,
That's
it's
different.
They're
okay.
directing.
You see? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
like
I get
one
what
is
you- I get what you
censored,
mean
one
by
is
that.
uncensored. Which one is more problematic?
It's the same problem.
It's the same problem.
It's same problem.
Why?
People are ignoring things. Now, ads, that's public ignorance. People ignore it. Everyone ignores it. But what censorship is, it's forced ignorance. People are forcing ignorance on the public by saying, hey, we shouldn't look at this problem. It's not our fault. It's still our Earth, but who really cares?
Yeah, and
because, we're sending soldiers over there to die, and it's not really that important for the families of America to know what it is.
Yeah, and not only that, it seems like humans, like, as a whole in terms of the world, view themselves as, like, the alpha species. Like, you say we evolved, but we, at our basis, we really haven't. I mean, the reason why we, like, care so much about human deaths, not other things deaths, because we think we're better than them. For example, I mean, if a dog dies, you get sad, but if a human dies, as you said, we're supposed to feel this huge emotional reaction. But, I mean, we think we're better than other things.
I thought you said it was supposed to be a defense mechanism. At what point?
Being desensitized is the defense mechanism.
At what point does the defense mechanism play into, quote-unquote, solving the problem? Because from your logic, having the defense mechanism allows you to put up with those things and allows you to push it away. However, you also are arguing that we need to solve these issues. And in order to solve the issues, one must not feel apathy. If you're desensitized to school shootings, for example, what makes you want to go solve it? If I see another school shooting and I'm like, oh, well, it's just the status quo nowadays. You know what I mean? Like, if we become desensitized, I'll go back to the ISIS beheading. If we see one of those and we feel no emotion, we feel nothing towards it, what would be the impetus to make us go and solve that?
I think I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding between there. A slight one. We're not saying completely desensitized to feeling anything at all. It's just like you get to a point where it just won't emotionally break you. I mean, if you see a school shooting, for example, okay, I feel like less emotion towards things than most people, but it doesn't change the fact that I know that's wrong. I know that shooting up a school is wrong. I just don't feel as much sadness about the death. But it's still why would you not want to fix something that's wrong? You still know it's wrong.
Sadness is a great impetus for solving problems, though. Sadness and hatred for something makes you want to go solve it.
Both sides have this problem. It's either a complete ignoring the problem or not caring about the problem. There has to be a certain level of censorship. Right now, I think there is somewhat too much in some areas and not enough in others. I don't think people should seek out ISIS videos, but I don't think that the government should tell who what not to do, tell people what not to do, when it's their own opinion, their own choice on what they want to see and what they don't want to see.
What they're doing is they're keeping their kid, it's like the parents who keep their kids inside, never let them do anything. And the moment that kid goes to college and they realize all these things are there, they turn into a complete delinquent because they've never experienced it before, and they go and do this, and now they drink and get crazy and blah blah blah.
Yeah, the preacher's daughter.
Yeah,
preacher's daughter. That's supposedly a bad kid.
I mean, the reason that that's become a stereotype is because it happens so much. That same thing can happen to humans as a whole.
But showing having people watch beheading videos is not going to stop that one person from going to do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
neither was censoring it.
It would be exactly. So if it's not doing anything, why do we need it?
I think if it's not doing anything, why do we need censorship?
If it's not doing anything, why do we need it in the first place? Showing the ISIS beheading has no purpose other than to promote desensitization or to promote freedom of, freedom of speech maybe, freedom of getting information, but at the same time, there's no value to be had there. There's just a senseless killing, and there's no need for that.
We're in a tough spot, right now in this argument, because neither side is looking to be right. I mean, they both aren't dealing with the problem. Nobody is fixing the problem. I mean, we say stuff is fixing the problem, but the mass majority, the public, is not fixing anything. And, censoring it completely and in hopes that it might be leaked and then and then people feel sympathy or empathy because of it. Completely censoring it means no one sees it ever at all. And we can't, that's impossible to have almost. But, to censor it is to expect leaks. Something's going to come out. no matter what happens, there will be the death videos. There will be violence. There will be gore. There will be blood. You have to expect it. So trying to, hold up a whole ocean with a dam is not going to do anything.
Yeah. I mean, and a good example of the whole like kind of leaking through thing, we touched upon this in the last episode, the last censorship episode, talking about how sort of censoring something can make someone want to do it or want to go find it. So there was this court case there was a 17-year-old kid. His name was Lloyd Gunton, and so he was arrested for like planning an attack on like a Justin Bieber concert or something like that, and it was because he was like just like researching certain things that led to the accusation. And then like what he said like during the court case was just because the government was cracking down so much on terrorism and so on and so forth, he wanted to see how easy it was to find information on it. And because people are trying to stop, he just wanted to see how easy it was. And I mean, he still found it because he went looking for it. And like, so the censorship didn't help, and it seemed like the censorship kind of led to the search in the first place. And so whether it's censored or not, people are going to find it, and it seems like the censorship also draws attention to it.
Well, I feel like there's a certain balance that needs to be reached, because you can't focus purely on saying we need to censor everything and we need to censor nothing, but there is a limit where some things, maybe the most graphic, the most harsh videos that you can sometimes find on websites like Reddit 50/50, stuff like that, that might be necessary to be censored because of how cruel, maybe unusual it is, and how abstract and different it is in the course of living and how that could affect you. But there's a limit somewhere. I'm not sure where it would be, but saying solely everything that would need to be censored, that's a word, versus nothing being censored, I feel like both extremes are bad, maybe, unjust to the people, because knowledge should be free in most cases, well, all cases, but there's a limit sometimes where you don't want to find that knowledge.
Well, real fast before we switch it over to the other argument, I think under the caveat of saying it's different, we should censor it. I don't think that's necessary, because things that are different promote diversity. But I get what you meant, like in the context of like senseless cruelty. There's not necessarily a need for that. But at the same time, things that are unique and different should not be censored simply because of that, because then you lead to worse situations.
Yeah, the example of Reddit 50/50, the reason that became popular is because it was something censored going out to the youth, the public. The youth had a game. They made a nice game about censored content. Ooh, look at this, This is funny to look at because I've never seen it before. Wow, something new, something different. That diversity you were talking about.
Or like, you're walking down the street, like, okay, even like in movies and TV shows, but this happens in real life too. If you're walking down the street and there's an abandoned building, you're just gonna keep walking. But if you walk past an abandoned building that says "danger, keep out," you're gonna be like, "What happened though?"
Ooh, what's inside? What curiosity? Censorship's creating dangerous curiosity, and it makes people want to look up how easy is it to kill somebody? How easy is it really? Can I figure this out? Because I don't want to experience it for myself. It's curiosity, and you created a monster. Censorship created a monster. Yeah. But both sides, like Donnie said, were bad. There's no way we can't not censor some things. Some things have to be censored to some people. But I think there should be more choice in what we view and what we cannot view.
Okay. So maybe some censorship is necessary, but just for the purpose of argument, what would happen if we had complete and open knowledge for everything? In my opinion, if this were to occur, I can already see, like what I discussed earlier with desensitization, occurring pretty rapidly. Kids and people who don't necessarily need to see ISIS beheadings or need to see any slaughterings for whatever reason, they will immediately become desensitized to it. And after the first or second killing they see, the emotions that they once had before are now gone. And I think that's negative because emotions play a valuable role in opinions on things. And your opinions usually help, whether you like it or not, you have a bias, right? And emotions help you with that bias in almost a positive way. Because if you look at something and you feel negatively about it, your opinion changes to be negative as well. And not in all situations is this necessary, but with killings, for example, if you're desensitized to it, you begin to think, well, maybe to their religion this is okay. So, maybe we don't necessarily look down on them for this. And I'm not saying this would happen every single time, but at the same time, people may start to view it this way. And without that emotion that they had before, by seeing the video and they're repulsed and they immediately hate it, and their opinion is, okay, this is immediately wrong, they may start to debate the nitty-gritty of killings and how necessary they are in situations like ISIS beheadings, and they really aren't necessary.
Okay, something we haven't brought up yet. What about government, military, secrets? Now, if we're going to go personal instead of forcing a divide, I feel like the military should keep their secrets. When they had stealth planes that could not be picked up by radar, when they had these planes, it was something new. No one had known that anyone had made something like this. So the United States was able to bomb other countries, and no one knew about it. They would wake up in the morning, or they would be, on fire. They'd figure out, where did these bombs come from? There was no airplane on the radar. They'd think it was ground forces or something. So keeping the secrets is hiding things from the enemy. Wow, that was a really strong H. I feel bad for the people listening. That was like me blowing on the mic. I'm sorry. The military needs to keep these secrets to keep things away from the enemies, the public, because if you can know people's plans, people's capabilities, you can plan against that.
Well, there's a difference between keeping secrets from enemies and censoring things.
Is there?
There
because you're
is.
censoring it from specific people.
Yes, but in the sense of it, there are military secrets that you and I and everyone in this room do not know about because they're intended.
They're censored.
Yes, but there's a difference because it is something that, as the government may or may not think, it is something that we, people, average Joe Schmoes of wherever,
Joe Schmoes.
yeah, Joe Schmoes of wherever
Bradford
can't
and
handle it.
Joe Schmo.
Yeah, but that's the same thing with violence. These internet providers think they can't handle it.
All right. I got a good kind of example. It's from a TV show, but that doesn't make it any less valid. Okay.
It kind of does.
It is not. Because
say your example.
Okay.
Just do it.
So how we're talking about how we're considering if all information was free to the public, or for example, military secrets were free to the public. Well, okay. So just go with me. Okay. So there's a show called My Hero Academia, right? And in this show, almost every human just has superpowers now. And so I see that as for example, everyone having access to information. And so now, talking to your friends and stuff, most of you guys are they would probably either do something positive or selfish with the powers. But of course, now that everyone has access to these powers, everyone didn't become a superhero. There are some dudes who are like, you know what, I'm gonna be a bad dude. And that's a good example of if the military doesn't censor its secrets, there are some dudes who are gonna do bad things with it. Mm-hmm. Like be a Russian spy.
Yeah, some people.
I think that makes sense. Like we keep coming back to the balance that must be struck, because it's not black and white like most things, but I think we keep coming back to it because it makes the most sense. Like when somebody asks you something, it's usually not a yes or a no. It's more of a, well, it depends, which is helpful in many situations, including the one we're talking about now, censorship, because if you have everything open, then certain things that really need to be kept secret are now out to the public, and if everything is censored, then how do you come up with ideas of your own, or how
do you prepare for things? Because if people didn't know that a nuke could happen, or maybe, there's a missile heading here right now, but if we didn't know that, well, guess what? They just abandoned us. And they probably censored that to the rest of the world. I mean, boom, we're gone. But they censored it, so nobody knows. Everyone thinks they're perfectly safe, no danger. Now that it does sound like a utopia, everyone knows they're safe, yay. But it's just blissful ignorance.
Yeah, I mean, I think in context of society we live in, we're getting a little bit too far on the censorship side. Like you said, there should be a balance. So imagine a scale like all the way to the left is censorship, and all the way to the right is no censorship at all. I feel like we're leaning a bit to the left these days, much more than we need to.
I think this is a good point. It's been a good discussion. We got some good points in, but I totally agree. There's this balance that we have to reach, and this is it's a polarized debate, but it's an unanswerable, I guess. There's no real yes or no to this question.
I think that's probably the best and most well thought out way to end it, because a lot of people these days would pick a side and they'd fight for it with their lives and their souls and their names.
You mean like religion?
Nah, we'll have another episode for that one. But yes, kind of like that. And they'd take their side and it would become their person, and they would fight for it as if they were dying or living, life or death. But I think it's more necessary for people to choose a happy middle, because there are pros and cons to each side, whether it be censorship or any other debate. And people just need to take both sides for what they are. Take the pros, take the cons, like I said, and have a proper analysis of it, rather than looking at what they choose to be pros or what they choose to be cons and shunning the other side for whatever reason.
Well, that's the explanation for our entire podcast. So
Sick.
every episode will end up pretty similar, unless we all feel specifically about something.
Maybe we should censor that episode.
Yeah, we shouldn't add this.
Not
To be
this one.
fair, you're also supposed to, develop your own opinion, and we just help you think.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in. Thank you.
I'm a creepy boy.
Goodbye.
Well, I have to end it like this. The discussion was scattered, smothered, and covered. But we will see you next week. Because
not sponsored by.
yeah. Bye.
Adios.
Too many buys. End it.